So, good morning everyone. We are Group 4 and we are here to report about Bucor. So, Bucor, Bureau of Corrections. It is an agency of the Department of Justice which is charged with the custody and the rehabilitation of national offenders, commonly known as persons deprived of liberty or PDL, who have been sentenced to 3 years of imprisonment or more. BGMP, or the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology. It is an attached agency of the Department of the Interior and Local Government mandated to direct, supervise, and control the administration and operation of all the district, city, and municipal jails in the Philippines with prompt task of safekeeping and development of its inmates, officially classed as persons deprived of liberty or PDL. So what is the difference between Bucor and the BGMP? Sa BGMP, ang mga piniriso dito or mga persons deprived by liberty is undergoing investigation. And ilang sentence is 3 years, 6 months to 3 years or dili na mo taasa 3 years. And nagulat pa sila sa ilang final judgment. While sa Bucor, ang mga persons deprived with liberty is na-sentence na sila of 3 years and above. And na sila final judgment na convicted na sila. And ang BGMP is under siya sa DILG while ang Bucor is under the DOJ. And ang mga piniriso dahil sa Bucor is ginatawag na national offenders. Next. Bucor Operating Manual 2000. Part 4. Discipline and Punishment of Inmates. Chapter 1. Discipline of Inmates. Section 1. Disciplinary Controls. Purpose. Efforts shall be made to instill in the minds of all inmates the concept that self-discipline is an essential characteristic of a well-adjusted person. So in Section 1, kinahanglan na efforts na magabuhaton ang mga personnel para masulod sa utok sa mga piniriso kung sa kaimportante ang pagdisiplina sa kaugalingon. Section 2, Guidelines on Disciplinary Control. Disciplinary controls on inmates shall be firm to ensure safety and good order in prison. Breaches of discipline shall be handled objectively, and sanctions shall be executed with firmness and justice. So, in Section 2, hinahanglan dyan nga na ay mga disciplinary controls para masigurado ang safety sa mga prisuhan. Next. Section 3. Due process accorded to an inmate. Every breach of discipline shall be reported to proper prison authorities. The erring inmate shall be given due process before he is punished. Ignorance of prison rules shall not be countenanced or considered an excuse for its non-observance. So in Section 3, hinahanglan na ang pagdisiplina sa kapineriso o kung nakasalaan ko sa kapineriso, hinahanglan usa siya panisyan or tagaan o punish is hinahanglan sa due process. Section 4, Prohibited Acts. So, example sa mga prohibited acts na mga tinitinang buwato sa ka-inmates is possessing articles which pose a threat to prison security or to the safety of and well-being of inmates and staff, giving gifts, selling, or engaging in barter with prison personnel. So, bawal mo matagod ka ng mga gifts, mga regalo sa mga personnel nga nagbantay sa prisuhan. Section 5. Business activity of inmate. An inmate shall not engage in business activities or profession except when authorized to do so in writing by the director or the superintendent. An inmate who was engaged in a business or profession prior to commitment is expected to assign authority for the operation of such business or profession to a person in the community. For this purpose, a business activity shall be used to mean any revenue generating or profit-making endeavor. So in Section 5, dili jud as a pinariso or PDL, bawal jud ka nga mo-engage siya bisag unsa nga activity sulod sa prisuhan, samot na og labag sa balaod. So chapter 2, next report please.
So this is our continuation of our report, punishment. Next. Board, Section 1, Board of Discipline Composition. The Director shall establish a Board of Discipline in each prison for her cases involving an inmate who violates prison rules. It shall be presided over by the Assistant Superintendent. So, sa Section 1, nag-base sila sa, nagtukod sila establish sa role sa prison rules para ang prisoner makabiolate siya dito, makabuhat siya ng offense, na siya karoon na siya o sa iyang punishment. And Section 2, Procedure and Disciplinary Cases. So these are the example of procedure disciplinary cases. The written complainant or report of an aggrieved inmate or any inmate or prison personnel having knowledge of any breach o sa paglapas sa iyang nabuhat ito, example sa breach niya, or disciplined by an inmate shall be filed with the office of the superintendent. And next is if the superintendent after initial investigation finds that the complaint or report is baseless, he shall order its dismissal. So the base of filing of an inmate is baseless is to admit ang superintendent mo cancel ka dismissal because wala sila eksaktong evidence na nakuha sa inmate niya makaviolate sa prison. And Board of Discipline shall hold sessions as often as necessary. It shall decide cases to it within 5 days and termination of hearings. Then, the hearing shall be summary in nature and shall not be bound by the technical rules of evidence. Then, the inmate charged with the offense shall be allowed to present evidence in the hearing, and the decision approved by the superintendent shall be final. And Section 3. Protection of inmate from institutional abuse. An inmate shall be treated with respect and fairness by prison employees. So ang prisoner is treated as a human being, dili siya treated as such as animals or any other pets. And impossible punishment. Then sa protection ng inmate, pwede ko siya punition sa corporal punishment to cause physical pain to a person, and sa cruelty po or pag brutally ng puluhaton, and the deprivation of clothing, bed, and bedding, light, ventilation, exercise, food, or hygienic facilities. And Section 4, impossible punishment. So imposable punishment is the Board of Discipline shall be authorized to impose any of the following disciplinary measures or an errant inmate. So, A. Caution or reprimand, and cancellation of recreation, education, entertainment, and visiting privilege. So, i-cancel ang sa ilang pag-educate ito sa sulod, and to entertain sa ilang pagbisita dili kasulod kay ibawal kay mabilit sila sa ilang punishments. And deprivation of DCTA or DCTA good conduct time allowance controversy, and the change of security status to the next higher category. So example, if naka-comment o dili kayo ang usa ka inmate, i-transfer siya from minimum to maximum. Ang maximum is naka-comment ang violence, naka-comment ay i-equal siya dito sa naka-comment sa violence crimes such as murder, homicide. And Section 5, confinement in disciplinary cell. If the above correction measures prove to be ineffective and obstinate, inmate may be punished by confinement in a disciplinary cell from 10 to 1 to 2 months, and depending upon the gravity of the offense committed. This punishment shall only be meted out if the prison medical officer after examination certifies that the inmate is fit to undergo the same or will not adversely affect his physical or mental health. So this is Section 5. Karang pwede naman siya panisyan tungod like sa iyang mamuna-muna or sa mental nga okay na ba siya pagpanis niya kay Section 6, mitigation of punishment. So when we talk about mitigation of punishment is to decrease the punishment of a person. So for the first disciplinary offense, and if the inmate's conduct justifies it, the superintendent may mitigate, suspend, or modify the penalty imposed upon patient. So gamay is pagamay ang offense nga nabuhat siya, pagamay ng punishment. Release from disciplinary cell. The prison medical officer shall visit periodically the inmate in the disciplinary cell and shall advise the superintendent if the punishment should be terminated on grounds of physical health of harm. Section 8. Use of instrument of restraint. Instrument of restraint such as handcuffs and straitjackets shall not be applied as punishment. So, instrument of restraint enable a person's freedom of movement to be restricted or prevented. Penal authorities may only resort to them for a limited period of time in specific situations which are clearly identified and recognized as being legal. So, tagaan ng freedom ang sa prison or liberty. And Section 9. Limitation of punishment to be imposed on female inmate. Female inmate shall be subjected to disciplinary measures which might adversely affect her unborn or nursing child. Prisoner shall never be sanctioned or itututan niya makabuhat siya o kahit nga offense, di na pwede i-transfer sa slide this one. And Section 10, disciplinary punishment to form part of record of an inmate. The penalty imposed by the Board of Discipline shall form part of the carpeta and prison record of an inmate. So, gabis dito ang prison o transfer niya na kung sa iyang record dito, ang ngayon sa dawaton nila prison na or hindi. So, that's all about my report.
So hi guys, and the next reporter, and my report is the BJMP Comprehensive Operations Manual 2015 edition. Section 30, Punishable Acts. An inmate is strictly prohibited from committing any of the following acts. Number 1, minor offenses. Number 2, less grave offenses. 3, grave offenses. So, ang BJMP Comprehensive Operations Manual, particular ang edisyon ng 2015 ay naglalaman ng mga gabay at regulasyon na nauukol sa mga operasyon at pamamahala ng Bureau of Jail Management and Penology or BJMP. So, ang Section 30 na manual na ito ay nakatukol sa mga labag na gawain ng higpit na pinagbabawal sa mga bilanggo. Ang mga gawain na ito ay nilalagay sa tatlong kategorya: minor offenses, less grave offenses, at grave offenses. So, ang minor offenses, ito ay mga pagsuway o offense na medyo hindi gaanong seryoso na ginagawa ng mga bilanggo. Ang manual ay maaaring magbigay ng particular na mga halimbawa ng minor offense. Ngunit hindi ito binabanggit sa binibigay ng isip. Gayunpaman, karaniwang kasama sa mga pagsuway na ito ang mga hindi malalaking paglabag sa mga patakaran o mga paglabag sa disiplina na hindi nagdudulot ng malaking panganib sa kaligtasan at seguridad ng pasilidad ng bilangguan o ng mga tauhan nito. So, next is less grave offenses. So, ito ang kategorya nito ay sumasaklaw sa mga offense na mas seryoso kaysa sa mga minor offenses. Na mas seryoso sa minor offenses, ngunit hindi gaanong malubha kaysa mga grave offenses. Muli, hindi ibinibigay ang particular na mga halimbawa. Ngunit karaniwan ng kasama sa mga pagsuway na ito ang mga pagkilos na nagdudulot ng katamtaman o moderadong panganib sa seguridad o kaayusan sa loob ng pasilidad ng bilangguan. So, maaaring kasama dito ang mga gawain tulad ng mga hindi pagsunod, paglabag sa paggalang sa mga tauhan, o pagkakasangkot sa mga minor na higwaan. So, next is the last grave offenses. So, ang grave offenses, ang kategorya nito ay binubuo ng pinakamalulubhang pagsuway o offense na maaaring gawain ng isang bilanggo. So, ang mga grave offenses ay nagdudulot ng malaking panganib sa kaligtasan, seguridad at kabutihan ng pasilidad ng bilangguan ng mga tauhan nito at ng mga kapwa mga bilanggo. Mga halimbawa ng grave offenses ay maaaring kasama ang mga gawain tulad ng mananakit, pagtatangkang paglalabas ng droga, pagtatangka na tumaas, pagmamay-ari ng mga armas, o pakikilahok sa mga nakaplanong kriminal na aktibidad sa loob ng pasilidad ng bilangguan. So, mahalagang tandaan na ang BJP Comprehensive Operation Manual ay nagbibigay ng mga klasifikasyon na ito ay gabayan ang mga kawani sa pagtugon sa mga usapin ng disiplina at ipatupad ang angkop ng parusa batay sa kalooban, kalubhaan ng ginawang pagkakasala. Malamang na tinalakay ng manual ang mga procedure at mga kahinatnan ng kaugnay ng bawat uri ng pagkakasala. Kabilang ang mga uri ng parusang disiplinaryo na maaaring ipataw tulad ng pagpapagalit, pagkakablanggo, pagkawala ng pribilehiyo o paglilikuminda sa mga otoridad sa mga kumikilala sa legal na action. That's all.
And I have an proposal and I will discuss about Rule 5, most of the security and the emergency plans, movement and transfer of visual and gains. Management and technology is concerned with the humanity, safety, and development of techniques. Effective possibility ensures that inmates are when incurred in all areas of the detention facility and properly supported with attending their court and hearing and other authorized lawful detentions. The rules focus on effective safety and generation. The focus niya sa usapong pag-usuli ang mga inmate ng number ng mga inmate given ang one proper supported with attending their court hearing for the pending technique. Section 35, possibility, security, and security. 8. Each jail shall, as much as participable, maintain the following minimum standard with regard to security. 8. The main statement sa number 5 na A is na kanya, the taken of committed to downward is the security perimeter and control of the perimeter. Yung downward ang mga security perimeter ng mga fence, ng mga fence for payagan sa physical measures with nagkakalit na mga barriers, mga fence and others na they kasi ensure that minimum standard security and control are maintained. Following policies guidelines and development state implemented in all the key communities. Ang bill, nagkait ang bill sa usapo nila pag-guidelines and development mga email. For example, nagkakain ulit na so, then, ang iyakan na ilang na pag-secure dahil mo na first factor sa ilang maling for them to, tulad ng day, wala kayo makita namin makagawa mo lang. O tulad ng day, mag-inom ka ng search o kung naman ang kailin nila. Then, secure fix, identification, inmates, count, are simplified lives during case 24-hour period. All inmates are diagnosed. The investigation, ang mga inmates will kailangan sa i-count pagkaan dapat natin 2 or 3 times na i-count to then go to secure that ang ilang mga tao mga tikiling wala na. Pag-observe daw po sa mga mga email, kailangan daw po na ayos ang email. Problem, so, okay, paano wala ka ba yun? Ito na tao na pati mo na post-page email. Awar, wala tao na. Then, section for the page, regarding the class, attending the class, regarding the class for both natural and man-made companies and other forms of things. The programs shall be created to improve the physical structure and other factors of particular everyday natural damages and man-made. When natural damages and temporary damages like fire, and food, flood, and earthquake, under the natural shower. Then ang man-made damages is na ikot tao hindi man siya ang mga ikot ng mabiliso, comfort na rhino, food poisoning, power failure, o one. And that report by report.
Good morning, everyone. I am the next reporter. So now I will be discussing the 2017 Comprehensive BJMP Administrative Disciplinary Machinery as amended. Rule 1, Preliminary Provision, Section 1, Title. This rule shall be known and cited as the 2017 Comprehensive BJMP Administrative Disciplinary Machinery. Section 2, Scope and Application. This rule shall apply to all administrative cases filed against uniform and non-uniform personnel and define the powers, duties, and procedures to be observed by the personnel officer, investigators, prosecutors, hearing officer, and the disciplining authorities in the formulation and implementations of decision, resolutions, and orders duly issued. So these rules shall apply to uniform and non-uniform, professional or civilians. Section 3, Purpose. This rule shall govern the dispensation of administrative justice to the BJMP by the most economical and expeditious means, most responsive to the needs of all stakeholders and sufficient to protect public service. It shall also ensure uniformity in adjudication of administrative complaints against erring personnel. Section 4, Construction. This rule shall be liberally constructed to attain just and expeditious dispositions of administrative cases against erring personnel so as to ensure public accountability and utmost discipline in the jail service. This section is to make sure that there's always a discipline in the jail service. Section 5, Nature of the proceeding. The investigation, prosecution, and hearing before the administrative disciplining authorities shall be summary and inquisitorial in nature and shall not necessarily adhere to technical rules of procedure observed in the judicial proceeding. So, the review of any cases by the panel shall not be conducted as a hearing or trial. Rule 2, General Provisions. Section 1. So, this all is about definition of terms now. So, first, adjudication is a process which involves a determination of rights and interests of the parties involved and decide in the basis of law and evidence adduced after hearing with respect to the matters in issue. B. Answer. A pleading in which a respondent or other adverse party sets forth the negative and affirmative defense upon which he relies. C. Breach of internal discipline. Any offense committed by a personnel affecting the order and discipline of the organization. D. Clarifactory conference, a stage in speedy administrative proceeding conducted consistent with due process to determine the probability of innocence of the respondent through searching clarifactory questions produced by the hearing officer to the compliant, respondent, or witness in order to aid him in the judicious resolution of the administrative case. E. Complainant. The one who commences a complaint against a personal either as a complaining witness or a concerned government or office. F. Complaint. A written sworn statement stating a particular act or acts, rule or injury sustained by a person. A communication in good faith that discloses or demonstrates an intention to disclose information that malfeasance, misfeasance, or nonfeasance have occurred. G. Confirmation of dismissal. Is a process by which a decision rendered by the chief, BJMP, or regional director imposing a penalty of removal or dismissal from the service shall be executory only after confirmation by the Secretary of the Interior and Local Government or CILG. H. Decision. A written disposition by the disciplining authority or appellate body stating clearly the facts and the law upon which it is based. Finality of decision. There is finality of decision when after the lapse of 15 days or receipt or notice thereof, no motion for reconsideration or appeal has been filed in accordance to these rules except those which are immediately executory. J. Formal charge. An accusation in writing against every personnel signed by the National or Regional Bureau Prosecutor, as the case may be, or in his absence, by the Director for Investigation and Prosecution or DIP, or Chief Regional Investigation and Prosecution Division, or CRPID, and filed before the National or Regional Hearing Office. K. Forum shopping. The filing of several complaints arising from one and the same cause of action involving the same parties asking for the same relief with the different administrative disciplining authorities. L. Habitual respondent. Personnel who was formally charged administratively for at least 3 times and was found culpable in any one of them meted a penalty not lower than 1 month suspension. M. Pending case. Refers to a case when the respondent had been formally charged before any disciplining authorities or during the pendency of an appeal with any appellate bodies. N. Prima facie evidence is defined as evidence good and sufficient in its face. Such evidence as in the judgment of the law is sufficient to establish a given fact or chain of facts constituting the party's claim or defense, and which is not rebutted or contracted will remain sufficient. O. Regulatory period. Period required by the law on O. Regulatory period. A period required by law or these rules to perform a specific act. In computation of a period of time, this first day shall be excluded and the last day shall be excluded unless it falls on a Saturday, Sunday, or a legal holiday, in which case the last day shall fall on the next working day. P. Repeatedly charged. A person who has been previously charged for a grave or less offense and found guilty thereof and is again charged of another offense. Q. Resolution. A written disposition by hearing officer stating his findings of acts and law upon which it is based. It may also be called as such in disposing of a motion for reconsideration. R. Sub buena antesticandum. A process directed to a person requiring him to appear and testify in a clarifactory conference. As subpena juces tecum, a process directing a person to appear and read with him books, documents, or things under his care and control during clarifactory conference. And the last but not the least is T, summons, a written notice informing the respondent that he is charged with an administrative offense and directing him to submit an answer. Summon is very common here in Philippines, being sued at least the day the defendant needs to appear in court. For example, na tuwan ka na, magsugan ka, may nadakpan ka, so dalon ka sa prisuhan, and prisuhan ka dito for 24 hours, and then isang pag-house, and then isang ka padala ng sumunod dito na pila siguro ka months. That's all for my reporting case.
Rule number 3, disciplining authority, pertains to the procedures of initiating administrative disciplinary proceeding against BGMP personnel. The rule outside the process for filing a complaint against a BGMP personnel, which includes providing a written complaint and supporting evidence to the appropriate authority. It also requires the authority to conduct the primary investigation to determine whether there is a prima facie against the accused personnel. If a prima facie case exists, a formal administrative charge shall be filed against the personnel, who will be notified of the charges and be given the opportunity to respond to the allegations. The accused personnel will also have the right to counsel and to present evidence and witnesses in their evidence. After the presentation of the evidence, the authority shall render a decision on the case. If found guilty, the accused personnel will be subjected to the approximate disciplinary sanctions, which may include suspension, demotion, or dismissal from service. For example, if the prima facie exists, if the case, each side is na ay mga attorney. So, and the attorney is responsible to defend her sentence na either it is right or wrong. So, if if the accused na siya right to counsel and present the evidence and the witness na nakakitaan ng sa anong case. So, rule number 4, investigation, prosecution, and hearing, pertains to the procedures and requirements for initiating administrative complaints against the BGMP personnel. It outlines the responsibilities of complainants, the forms and content of the complaint, and the process of filing and forwarding the complaint to the approximate authority. The rule also provides for the confidentiality of the complaints and the protection of investigating officers. The primary investigation and the submission of the investigation report. Finally, the rule outlines and disciplinary measures that may be imposed upon finding the respondent guilty of the charges, including reprimand, suspension, demotion, and dismissal from service.
So good morning everyone, I'm the next reporter. Our topic is rule number 5, administrative offenses. Outlines the grounds for disciplinary action against personnel of the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology or BGMP. It practices or commit offenses against public morals or engage in conduct prejudicial to the best interest of the service. The role also emphasized that the disciplinary action to be imposed shall be proportionate the gravity of the offense committed and in accordance with due process. So kanin sa role number 5, which is administrative offenses, it talks about na naagani between personnel na makaviolate sa atong mga o sa atong mga patakaran, mga naabusador sa ilang trabaho involving sa corruption or unsa pa ang ubang mga kalapasan ginangaagan sa atong law. They will undergo disciplinary action. Disciplinary action includes a verbal warning, a written warning, a reduction in rank or pay, and termination. And of course, ang nga role could maghisgot nga ang iyang punishment or disciplinary action nga madawat siguro na po sa tumunsa kabugat ang offense na iyang nabuhat. Rule number 6. Administrative penalties. Set out the procedures for initiating administrative complaints against personnel of the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, or the GMP. The rule outlines the requirements for filing a complaint, including the necessary document and forms, and specifies the authorities who may initiate a complaint. It also established the investigative procedures, including the gathering of evidence, the conduct of a preliminary investigation, and the submission of the investigation report. Finally, rule number 6 outlines the disciplinary measures that may be imposed on personnel found guilty of administrative offenses, including reprimand, suspension, demotion, and dismissal. So, rule number 6 is all about administrative penalties. These are penalties that can be given to those BGMP personnel who violate under the law. This rule also includes procedures, documents, administrative complaints against the BGMP personnel. Let's say, for instance, kung unsa ka BGMP personnel dunay nalapas nga balaod, let's say corruption, bisan kung sa basta kay lapas sa balaod, and which is violation against atong law. Diri na ma-apply ang Rule 6 kung unsay administrative penalty and discipline measure nga angay ipataw sa BGMP nga naka-violate sa law of authorities. Thank you.
So, the continuation of our report, so Rule 7, Administrative Procedures, outlines the procedure for conducting administrative investigations and hearings for BGMP personnel who may have violated the rules and regulations of the agency. The rule specifies that all complaints against BGMP personnel shall be investigated and investigation shall be completed within 60 days from the date of receipt of the complainant. The rule also lays out the guidelines for the conduct of hearing, which include the right to be heard, the right to represent evidence, and the right to cross-examine witness. The rule emphasizes the importance of due process in the proceedings and requires the presence of a hearing officer who shall be impartial and independent in the conduct of hearing.
Rule number 8, settlement and administrative case. It outlines the procedures for conducting administrative investigations. It provides guidance on the composition of the investigating body, the procedures for conducting investigations, and the rights of the accused. The rule emphasizes the need for impartiality and fairness in all stages of the investigation and the importance of due process in the administration of disciplinary action. Overall, Rule 8 aims to ensure that administrative investigations are conducted in a manner that upholds the principles of transparency and accountability of justice and justice.
Good morning, everyone. I am the next reporter. Role number 9, prevention suspensions, provides the procedures of for the negotiations of the penalty of suspensions, demotions of dismissal of personnel of Bureau of Jail and Management and Criminology or BJP for committing offenses or violating rules and regulations. The rule mandates that before any of these penalties can be imposed, the concerned personnel must be given a notice of formal charge, which some include the specific offense of violations committed and the evidence supporting it. The personnel also be given an opportunity to respond to the charges against them and to appeal the legal representations. The disciplinary case will be heard by a designated committee, which will be responsible for evaluating the evidence and determining whether the personnel is guilty of offense and violations. If the personnel is found guilty, the committee will be recommend the appropriate penalty to be imposed, which will be subject to the approval by the BJNP director. So it talks about preventions and suspensions. Once ang personnel sa BJNP makakamit of offenses and violate sa rules of regulations, ganang panisan sila o suspensions and basta mapatunayan nga sila nagkasala. Rule number 10, resolutions and decisions. Outlines the procedures and penalties for BJNP personnel found guilty of administrative offenses. It states that administrative offenses shall be finalized with the reprimand, suspensions, dismissal, or any combinations of these penalties, depending on the gravity of offense. The rule also provides for the conduct of the investigations, insurance of notice and charges, and the right of the accused to answer and defend himself. The decisions on the case shall be made based on the preponderance of evidence, and the written decisions shall be issued written and prescribed period. So once ang BJNP personnel mapatunayan nga sila nakasala sa nakakamit sila offense or violate sa rules of regulations ay panisan sila sa of suspension or depende sa ilang nabuhat nga sala.
Rule 11 Administrative Remedies, base sa mga ibinigay na impormasyon ng BJMP Comprehensive Operation Manual ang naglalarawan ng mga hakbang para sa pagharap sa mga minor na pagkakasala na ginawa ng mga kawani ng BJMP. Kinakailangan na ang buod ng paglilitis para sa mga pagkakasala ito ay matapos sa loob ng 10 araw na kalendaryo mula sa pagtanggap ng reklamo. Ang nagsasakdal ay dapat bigyan ng pagkakataon na mag-submit ng isang pagsulat ng maliwanag sa loob ng 3 araw na kalendaryo. Ang direktor ng BJMP o isang authoritative opisyal ay may kapangyarihan patawan ng mga parusa o talakayin ang kaso batay sa kahalagahan ng pagkakasala at iba pang kaugnay ng mga kadahilanan. Ang desisyon ay dapat ipabatid sa nasasakdal sa loob ng 5 araw mula sa pitsa ng pagpapahayag. Bukod dito, nagbibigay din ang patakaran ng karapatan na mag-apila ng desisyon sa loob ng 10 araw mula sa pagtanggap ng desisyon. So next is Rule 12, Judicial Remedies. Establish the procedures for investigating and imposing disciplinary measures against BGMP personnel who violate rules and regulations. It outlines the steps of the disciplinary process, including the initiation of the investigation, the submission of a complaint, the issuance of a notice of formal charge, the conduct of a formal investigation, and the imposition of disciplinary measures. The rule also provides for the rights of the accused personnel, such as the right to counsel and the right to be informed of the charges against them. Additionally, Rule 12 sets forth the grounds for disciplinary action and the corresponding penalties that may be imposed depending on the severity of the offense committed. Batay sa mga binigay na impormasyon na BGMP Comprehensive Operation Manual ay kinalaman sa mga hudikatura ng mga lunas para sa mga aksyon sa disiplina laban sa mga kawani ng BGMP sa lumalabag sa mga patakaran at regulasyon. Ang patakaran ay nagtatakda ng mga hakbang para sa mga investigasyon at pagpapatupad ng mga pagsasakdal, kabilang ang pagpatupad ng investigasyon, paghahain ng reklamo, paglalabas na abisadong formal ng mga kasong isinampa, pagsasagawa ng formal na investigasyon, at pagpapatupad ng mga parusang disiplina. Ipinapalagay dito ang mga karapatan ng akusadong kawani, tulad ng karapatang magkaroon ng tagapayo at karapatang maipabatid sa kanila ang mga aligasyon laban sa kanila. Ang patakaran, Rule 12 rin ay nagtatakda ng mga saligang batayan para sa aksyon sa disiplina at mga katumbas na parusa batay sa kahalagan ng ginawang pagkakasala. And that's all.
Brand, this contribution of Mr. Lenore support. Rule 13, miscellaneous provision, pertains of the filing of administrative compliance against the BGMP personnel. The rule states that compliance may be filed by any person or agency with a sufficient interest and may be submitted to the appropriate disciplinary authority within 6 months from the occurrence of the alleged offense. The compliance shall be handwritten and shall contain specific charges and supporting evidence. The accused personnel shall be given a copy of the complaint and shall be afforded for the opportunity to answer the charges against them. The disciplinary authority shall then conduct an investigation and may impose appropriate penalties based on the findings. The rules also provides for the confidentiality of the proceeding and the protection of the compliant and goodness of ventilation. Rules number 13, miscellaneous cases find that a BGMP personnel who commit offense will lahi siya ay panisyan siya o 6 months kung matangtang siya nga di siya katrabaho panisyan ng 6 months kung if ever ma-proven guilty, then this mag-file sila kapanon po nila ang BGMP personnel nga who commit offenses. Next. Rule number 14, final provision. Outlines of the procedures for the conduct of administrative investigation and disciplinary action against BGMP personnel who commit offenses. The rules state of the rules and responsibilities of the investigation officer, the respondent, and the other parties who involved in the investigation. It also provides guidelines for the conduct of hearings and imposition of penalties, which may include suspension, demotion, or dismissal from service depending on the gravity of offense committed. The rules emphasize the importance of due process and observance of the respondents' rights throughout the disciplinary procedure. Rule number 14, final provision. If the BGMP personnel were proven guilty of their committed offenses, pwede sila ma-dismiss o suspended or makabayan sa ilang mga nakabuat ng mga offense. So, if ever proven guilty in the hearing, there will be kanang tulong kanang suspension, demotion, or dismissal sa ilang service. That's all. Thank you.
Treatment of prisoners. The treatment of prisoners can vary widely depending on the country, the specific person, and the policies and practices in the place. However, there are some general principles and guidelines that are recognized internationally. Number 1, humane treatment. So, humane treatment, all prisoners are entitled to be treated with respect and dignity. This means that they should be free from torture, cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment or punishment. So, dapat ang pagtrato sa mga piniriso, mga katao, dahil dito, hindi pwede nga, kurataon na sila sa sunod sa prisuhan. Next is adequate food and clothing. Adequate food and clothing. Prisoners must be provided with adequate food, clothing, and bedding to maintain good health. So, dapat na sila sakto nga mga pagkaon para di sila magutunan sa sunod sa prisuhan. Third, access to medical care. Prisoners must have access to medical care that is equivalent to that available to the general population. So, kinahanglan sa sila medical care kay English na may tabo nila or magkasakit sila. Fourth is access to education and training. Prisoners must be provided with opportunities for education, vocational training, and other forms of self-improvement. So, dapat nasan sila yung mga training sa sulod sa prisuhan. Fifth, respect for religious beliefs. Prisoners have the right to practice their religion or belief system, and this should be respected by the prison authorities. So, kitang mga tao, lain-lain ang dagmatinuan. And ganang mga piniriso, lain-lain sab na sila tinuan or mga religion. So, kung Muslim na siya or hindi siya ni Kristo or Katoliko, dapat respetuhon sila sunod sa prisuhan. Dili sila abusaran, dili sila isagun sa obra. 6. Protection from violence. Prisoners have the right to be protected from violence and abuse from the other prisoners or staff members. So, kinahanglan protektaran sila against sa mga dili maayo mga prison authorities, like mga nabante sa prisuhan, dili kinahanglan na sila protection niya, dili sila bisag-usawa na dito. Next is access to legal assistance. Prisoners have the right to legal assistance, and they should be allowed to communicate with their lawyers and access the courts. So, ang mga piniriso, kinahanglan tagaan sila katungod nga makikistorya sa ilang mga abogado. Last one is the visits and communication. Visits and communication. Prisoners have the right to receive visits from family members and friends, as well as to communicate with them by mail or telephone. So, kinahanglan ng mga piniriso na sila right nga matikistorya sa ilang mga membro sa pamilya nga muduaw dito nila. Kinahanglan tagahan sila katungod nga matikistorya sa ilang mga amigo or mga pamilya nga muduaw nila kay importante na nila. And that's all.
Next is abuses against chastity. Refers to action or behaviors that violate the virtue of sexual purity, which involves the proper use of expression of one's sexuality within the context of one's moral beliefs and values. Some examples of abuses against chastity include premarital sex, extrapramarital affairs, pornography, prostitution, and sexual abuse. These actions are considered to be morally wrong and can have negative consequences on individuals and society as a whole. Many religions and belief systems place a strong emphasis on the importance of chastity as a means of promoting self-control, respect, and healthy relationship. So example for this is especially minors nowadays. So daghan jud kayo mga minor de edad na sayo kayo na ninyo, sayo kayo na anak. It's because of kuan. It's because of abuse by parents and kuan kay madala pud sila sa ilang boyfriends and ilang mga relationship. And as these statements that it's considered morally wrong, it's because kuan naman po na siya kani marriage na siya na kuan ba hilimuon. So sa ka minority dyan, dili siya normal nga ma-engage siya na mabuta nga. It's because kuan dapat i-enjoy niya ang iyahang young days and young moments na iha dapat na i-engage na anang idara. So and kanang it is important of chastity that na ay self-control and respect sa imong kaugalingon and healthy relationship iha. Thank you.
And hit that consideration, distinction of correction and punishment. Punishment refers to the imposition of a penalty or negative consequences as the response to wrongdoing. The goal of punishment is meant to deter future wrongdoing by creating a fear of consequence. Punishment can take many forms, including fines, imprisonment, community service, and loss of privilege. Another correction of distinction of correction and punishment is dili ra gyud ang mag-rely ang punishment sa one kung commit ang sa katao o crime para ma-punishan siya. Dili kasi ang other factor for ang punishment is to one minimize the crime. Minimize the crime. Correction on the other hand is a further concept to refer to the process of helping individuals to change their behavior and become better members of society. The goal of correction is to address the root causes of criminal behavior and invite individuals which the tools and skills to lead productive, law-abiding lives. They can include educational and vocational programs, counseling and therapy and other forms of support. And that is my report.
So these are the conclusion of the report of Darwin Naranjo and distinction between maltreatment and physical injuries. Maltreatment refers to any form of physical abuse or neglect that causes harm or potential harm to a person, while physical injuries refer to physically to harm or damage to a person's body. Physical injuries can be a result of maltreatment, but they can also be caused by accidents or other non-maltreatment related incidents. So maltreatment is refers to abuse, physical abuse, emotional and sexual abuse. And the types of physical injury, slight injury. One, when the offender has inflicted physical injury in which shall incapacitate the offended party for labor. 1 to 9 days shall require medical assistance. So if a person, ang victim ang victim is cautious injury, hindi siya ka-trabaho. So 1 to 9 days is called is slight physical injury. Kailangan siya medical assistance. Ang gabuhat ko yung mubayad sa medical assistance sa offender. And less serious physical injury. Any person who shall inflict upon other physical injury the offender party to work for 10 or more 30 days to undergo physical or medical assistance sa offender. And serious physical injury, kanang ka, lakto siya kanang sa injury, physical injury, inflicted become insane, kanang nabuang, imbecile, impotent, or kanang nabuta. And physical injury inflicted shall have loss of speech, and incasulty, the power to hear and smell, or loss an eye, hand, foot, arm, or leg. And last is the physical injury inflicted shall have deformed or shall have lost any part of the body and incapacitated for work for 90 days. That's all my report.
Abortion of service of sentence refers to the act of intentionally avoiding or skipping the legal punishment or penalty that has been imposed by a court of law. This can be happen in various ways, such as by failing to appear for a scheduled court hearing, fleeing from a correctional facility or provision, or needing to avoid arrest. In other words, it is an attempt by an individual to evade the consequence of their actions and the sentence they are being given. This can be considered a criminal offense in itself and may result of additional charges and penalties being imposed. Division of service of sentence, nani siya kasabot o kinsa itong mga tao na tagal ang warrant of arrest kaya parang inakpon sila nga mong tago o hawa sa lugar, ano siya pasabot nga dili sila binangang padapat kung madumagan nila ang kaso, mahimo na silang content. More na silang kaso na madumagan silang mo tagal na sila ang kaso na nabuhat or crime na nila nabuhat.
So, the continuation of the report of Mr. Allen. So, GCTA, RA 10592. So, a law in the Philippines that amended certain provisions of revised penal code which governs criminal law in the country. The conduct of time allowance, or also known as GCTA, is a program that allows prisoners to reduce their sentence by showing good behavior while in prison. The program aims to incentivize good behavior and provide a means for prisoners to rehabilitate themselves while serving the sentence. So, kung mga piniliso na makita maayong kinaiya sa prisuan, you will be rewarded by the reduce of the sentence in the prison. So, buhat na para lang makatagaan o appreciation ang pagkakayo sa mga prisoners. So, next.
This is a document report of Mr. Dialogo. Article 157 and 158, revised penal code. Now, what is Article 157 in revised penal code all about? Article 157 revised penal code refers to the crime of robbery. So let us define what is the robbery. According to Brazilian Criminal Code, robbery is defined as taking someone property with the use of evidence and munitions of oneself or for others, and without others' consent. Now, there are separate definitions of robbery. 5 separate definitions of robbery. These are street robbery, bank robbery, program evasions, carjacking, and first of snatching. Now, allow me to share to you some example of robbery. First example would be taking a woman's wallet from her purse when she is not looking. Second example would be taking a car window but out to steal items from inside. Third example would be stopping someone in the street to forcibly take their belongings. The penalty for robbery ranges from 4 to 10 years of the imprisonment with the possibility of an increased sentence of robbery is committed with the use of weapons or resulting in bodily harm to the victims.
While Art 158 RTC refers to the crime of theft according to the Brazilian Criminal Code, theft is defined as taking someone's property without the owner's consent and with the intention of keeping it for oneself or the others. The penalty for theft range from 1 to 4 years of imprisonment with the possibility of increased sentence if the theft is committed with the use of violence and intimidation, or if the property stolen is of high value. Like kanisha na pattern example in Jimena, like pagpangawan ng mga sa kalibutan na hindi mo like maprisong ka 1 to 4 years.